Hi, this is Paul Carlson, CPA with AEVelocity. In this video, I'm going to take a quick introduction to project financial accounting within Ajera. If you are used to using Deltek Vision or other A&E specific project accounting software, this will be a review or just an introduction to how Ajera differs from other applications. If you're coming from QuickBooks, a lot of this is just going to be absolute magic and very new. So first we are logged into the Project Command Center. Within Ajera, this is where we set up projects and define those details. So we have created a simple project example, added some details, again, just very simple overview. Within Ajera, every project must have at least one phase. So in this project, we have added 3 phases. So 3 different phases. Always have to add at least one. So that's pretty introductory. Let's jump over to the Manage tab. Within this tab, we can start to put budget details within each phase. You add the budget details on individual phases, and Ajera actually adds those up and updates the total contract amount. If you're coming from QuickBooks, this is just magical because you couldn't do individual phases within QuickBooks. Okay, so that's just a quick overview of how we set up the project. Next, I'm going to take a jump over to an example timesheet that we put. So on this project, we have added 10 hours. Within the project is defined that this employee type bills at $50 an hour. So 10 hours, we've added $500 worth of effort into the project. So just wanted to show the timesheet. So let's go take a look at an invoice, because that's the first thing people want to see is how the invoices come through. So here we have the cover page for the invoice. We can actually display the total contract amount by phase and for the overall project, prior billing, current billed, total billed, and remaining amounts. Again, if you're from QuickBooks, this is just magical. Not sure what this sheet is for. Working with an example database, we define all these for your company so these things make sense. For the invoice supporting detail, here we're looking at phase 1. Here's the time from Pat Hill that she had 2 entries into phase 1, 2 hours on and 2 hours here. Show an example of long descriptions. We put a $2 expense charge into the project and it posted into this phase. Down here we start to see detail on phase 2, and here's the labor that went into phase 2. Phase 3 had no activity. At the end we get a invoice summary, contract amount, total billed on this invoice, and remaining. And then here we get little baby timesheets. So all this can be customized and you can turn off features. You can actually set up templates per client. So if client 1 wants some detail, wants a specific invoice, they can get what they want, and client B wants their own templates that they can get the invoices they want, and Azera will remember and produce the invoices based on client preferences. Let's jump out of here and let's take a look at a couple of the dashboards. So here's a dashboard that is summary information on the project. So simple project, Mary's project manager. We can see that $6,000 contract amount. We can see that we've billed $352. So we billed 7 hours of time and $2 expense. Spent is, if this is new to some, is a measure of total effort that went into the project or the total retail time that went into the project. And this is done on a real-time basis. So even though so I wrote off 2 hours of the time against a project. So spent shows the total amount of time that went in. So it's those 10 hours we saw on the timesheet plus the $2 of billable expenses. So going back and forth here. So from the timesheet, there was 10 hours we posted against the project. We billed 7. We wrote off 2 hours, and 1 hour remains to be billed. And so here we see that additional hour is remaining in WIP. And then accounts receivable balance, we have that invoice that's not been paid for $352. When you click on the project name, we go into additional dashboards for more information on a specific project. So here we see the phase detail, the contract amounts per phase, the build amount by phase, and spent by phase. So we're starting to see a lot more detail. So we've shown how to set up the project, timesheet into the project, management dashboards. Now let's walk over and look at the most important piece, is the income statement. So we can see the performance of the project. So let's just walk through each of these lines. This is very different for some. So Ajera tracks billed revenue separately from unbilled revenue. So in here we billed the client for $350 of services, so this makes sense. We billed them for $2 of reimbursable expense, so that makes sense, we have revenue there. Unbilled professional fees, these are the 3 hours of that timesheet that have not been billed. That 1 hour remains in WIP, and then we wrote off 2 hours of time, and we see that right off here. So unbilled, that this represents additional time that's gone in, that things that are written off stay in this account and don't come out. And then we keep going down, and here we have the cost of wages. So Pat Hill gets paid $21 an hour. So here we can see that the cost of her 10 hours that went into that project was $219. And again, working within a sample database, things get wonky. That is showing up as a $10 reimbursable cost, where this number, those numbers should tie. And with that, we've done a quick overview of financial project management within Ajera. If you need help with your A&E firm's accounting, please give us a shout over at AEVelocity.com. Thanks.